5 News at Noon starts now.
After years of conflict, Israel and Hamas reach a peace deal, what it means, and when hostages may go free. In a public meeting tonight in Washington County, we'll tackle rapid growth and how to preserve the area's natural beauty, how you can join conversation with city leaders. Thank you for joining us for your 5 News at Noon. I am here with Danny Cassidy,
Hello.
who is more on the forecast. And I think today was my favorite morning that we've had so far.
Yes.
The most autumnal morning.
Yes, well, I like that, autumnal. Yeah, it definitely
word.
felt like fall out there, and it's going to be the same for tomorrow. And then after that, we're back to more of that late summer vibes. Unfortunately, it's just not going to go anytime soon. Let's check out what's going on, though, across the region. You're seeing plenty of crisp blue sky, maybe just a few passing clouds. That's really about it. Gorgeous shots all across the region. Low to mid 70s pretty much area-wide. We're seeing a few spots close to 80 degrees there. You can see in Poto, but again, nice conditions out there no matter where you are in the area. As we're seeing satellite and radar, not a whole lot to talk about, which is good news as always. We're seeing that sunshine and maybe a few passing clouds, especially in northwest Arkansas, kind of on the southern edge of a little bit of a weak disturbance. You may be seeing a little bit of green right there behind the banner, but I think a lot of that is going to stay off to the north and to the east. For the rest of the afternoon, we'll see those temperatures in the mid to upper 70s for northwest Arkansas and then dipping down into the low 60s and possibly as low as the upper 40s for overnight lows in northwest Arkansas. For the River Valley, getting into the low 80s for many, then dropping down into the low 60s by tonight and some upper 50s as well. Now, in terms of what we're expecting for the rest of the week, we could see some rain chances starting tomorrow night and then maybe into early Saturday. But generally speaking, it's going to be warm and it's going to be dry. But we'll talk more about those rain chances here coming up in your full forecast. Morgan.
Thanks, Danny. Well, the Chickamauga Nation will hold a press conference tonight in Charleston to oppose that proposed prison site in Franklin County. Tribal leaders say the land holds historic and cultural significance, including ancient graves and artifacts. They've tried meeting with the Board of Corrections, but say their concerns have not been heard. Tonight's event starts at 6 at the Charleston Community Center. Massive growth in Washington County has city leaders holding a special meeting tonight to balance expansion with preserving green spaces. The meeting will discuss growth trends and planning, zoning, and future development strategies. NWA Council projects Northwest Arkansas's population will reach 1 million in the next 25 years. 71% of those surveyed say the housing shortage is the biggest challenge. 40% say it's destruction of green space. Tonight's meeting is open to the public. It will start at 5:30 at the Washington County Quorum Courtroom on College Avenue. Fort Smith Public Schools is considering changes to boundaries at Spaulding Elementary and Carnall Elementary. District is exploring ways to align enrollment, improve efficiency, and provide more student resources. There are 3 plans under consideration. Public meetings are underway to gather input.
And when you are right sized and you're in a building that has multiple staff members, the staff are allowed, they collaborate better. The students have more resources.
Public feedback will be presented to the school board by December, and the board will decide whether or not to move forward. Well, Israel and Hamas are a major step closer to ending their 2-year-long war after reaching a deal. It calls for Hamas to release all remaining hostages and for Israel to withdraw its forces to an agreed-upon line. President Trump announced last night that what he calls the first phase of an agreement.
From Hostage Square in Tel Aviv to the streets of Khan Yunis in Gaza, an outpouring of joy and relief as Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first steps to end the war.
Peace for the Middle East. It's a beautiful phrase, and we hope it's going to come true.
President Trump celebrated the breakthrough, speaking last night by phone to a group of hostage families.
The hostages will come back. They're all coming back on Monday.
Loved ones say their healing cannot begin until all the hostages come home.
The president says in phase 1 of the plan, Israel will withdraw its troops to an agreed-upon line, and then all remaining hostages, including the deceased, will be released in coming days. Israel will also release some Palestinian prisoners.
The administration is hopeful the initial ceasefire provides momentum for achieving a lasting peace, but challenges remain, including whether Hamas will disarm and how Gaza will be governed. Palestinians celebrating the news say they just want the bloodshed to end. While strikes by Israel continue today, its parliament is meeting this morning to vote on the deal and start the clock on the ceasefire. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Hostages are expected to be released within 72 hours of the troops' withdrawal. President Trump says he possibly plans to visit the region this weekend. And after lawmakers in Washington failed to break a stalemate, the government shutdown is now entering its 9th day. The Senate's top Republican has now suggested he could hold votes on standalone bills to fund parts of the government, including a defense appropriations bill. This week, airports in Nashville, Dallas, Boston, and other cities have all seen slowdowns from staffing issues and call-outs. More than 1 million active duty troops could miss their next paycheck if the shutdown continues. This has sparked nationwide rallies from federal workers.
We are standing together, many of us unpaid, but all of us unbroken.
The IRS announced Wednesday it's furloughing more than 34,000 employees. That's roughly half of its workforce, and it could mean the closure of taxpayer call centers. Well, 500 National Guard troops were activated in Chicago overnight to guard an immigration detention center that's being targeted by protesters. Chicago's waiting on a federal judge's ruling on whether National Guard troops can deploy in the city. It comes after President Trump said Chicago's mayor and Illinois' governor should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. Weeks of sweeping immigration raids in Chicago have led to, at times, charged protests against federal agents. The Trump administration wants to send those 500 troops into Chicago, but Illinois has filed a lawsuit to block it, calling it a manufactured crisis.
They're not trained to be local police officers. They are the military, and so it's dangerous. And we don't need that here.
President Trump says he may sidestep local officials and court rulings by invoking the Insurrection Act. That's a 19th century law that at times allows the president to activate troops in order to combat acts of rebellion. Well, now to an exclusive CBS News investigation related to the death of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. CBS News has obtained 90 jail cell photos from the day Epstein was found dead. Some of these have never been seen publicly before. Scott McFarlane has the story from Washington.
On the morning of August 10th, 2019, convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein was found dead at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Lower Manhattan. This was the vow of then Attorney General Bill Barr.
We will get to the bottom of what happened, and there will be accountability.
Epstein's death was quickly ruled a suicide. But an investigation of jail cell photos by CBS News, working with forensic experts, has raised serious questions about the New York medical examiner and the FBI's work, including a failure to preserve the scene, log evidence, and run basic forensic tests. There are 90 photos in all, showing a cell strewn with blankets and strips of fabric tied to the bed and window grate. Items moved around, including a mattress, which is seen on the floor in an earlier photo, but appears on the bed in a later one. Looking at the metadata, that second photo appears to have been taken at 11:02 a.m. If that's accurate, the scene had been disturbed hours before FBI investigators arrived. Investigators also found several possible nooses, but did not conclusively identify the one that killed him.
What do you make of all these pictures?
I make a crime scene gone wrong.
Herman Weisberg is a former NYPD detective turned private investigator.
Does it look to you like this was investigated as a suicide or as a murder?
To me, this looks like they took it at face value that this was a suicide.
While our investigation did not contradict the official determination of suicide, it does raise questions about what was done to rule out the possibility of murder.
If you realize that you've got a high-profile person that may or may not have committed suicide, but you need to prove that to people, this is not adequate as far as I'm concerned.
We've reached out for comment for the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner and the staff at the FBI and the Department of Justice. As of now, all have declined to comment. Scott McFarlane, CBS News, Washington.